listening to Cricket World Radio.
And this is Cricket World Around the World. Hello and welcome to Cricket World Around the World. I'm John Pennington. I'm joined for this week's show by Alistair Simonson. Alistair, as ever, great to have you with me.
Good to be here, John.
Plenty of exciting things coming up in the next hour or so. We've got interviews later on with Zaheer Khan, Shanthakumaran, Sreesanth, and some other interviews that we've conducted as well. But first, just going to have a quick chat, sort of debrief really, about what's been happening in the world of cricket over the last week or so. The euphoria of India's World Cup win. I won't say it's died down completely, because I know the Indians are still absolutely delighted. We've got the Indian Premier League now taking centre stage.
Absolutely, John. Really exciting for every Indian all over the world. Fantastic result, winning the World Cup, and now straight into the IPL. A week's break, we're in there. We've watched a few of the games, and exciting stuff.
No, it's been very exciting, and do listen out for our Indian Premier League podcasts. I'm talking to Chetan Narelu, who's sort of crisscrossing his way across India yet again for us. They're quite exciting. He's always very fantastic opinions on him, and very obviously because he's at the game, really good insight as well, so keep an eye on those. We've also had Australia playing Bangladesh, and for the first couple of games, non-contest really, a little bit better in the final game, but what did you make of that particular series?
Well, a bit of an anti-climax for Australia. They obviously had hopes high in the World Cup, and the Bangladesh tour followed pretty soon afterwards, so they were obviously going to meet Bangladesh and try and bounce back and put themselves back where they should be, which is near the top of the one-day rankings. And sure enough, they did that.
That's right, and no stop for the players, because there's some of them back in action with the IPL straight away, the likes of Brett Lee and Shakib Al Hassan straight in for the Kolkata Knight Riders. Amazing sort of schedule that these days there is.
Yeah, and I think it's worth noting Shane Watson's fantastic innings, world record number of sixes in an ODI, and so there were some notable performances, but Australia too good.
Okay, now in England we've just got underway with the county season, and this may come as a surprise, not much play has been lost to rain so far.
I know, it's been really good weather here in the UK, and a lot of the counties benefiting from that and getting a few points under their belts.
Now, we're talking about the weather, actually raised the weather with one interview I did earlier in the week with Sussex South African all-rounder Kirk Wernars, and in fact we can hear from him now. Joining me now, Kirk Wernars, recently signed for Sussex. Great to have you with us, Kirk.
Yeah, thank you. No, great to, yeah, sure.
Now, just tell us a bit about your winter. I presume you were sort of playing back home in South Africa?
Yeah, obviously playing for Sussex was only a few months ago I knew that I was going to be coming over here. So I was playing for Western Province Amateurs, which is, you could say, a tier below Cape Cobra's franchise cricket in South Africa, yeah.
And how's your pre-season been with Sussex?
Oh, it's been fantastic. I first joined them in Dubai on the 24th of March, so I had about a week in Dubai with them to meet all the guys and get a bit of cricket under the belt. And then from there I flew over to Gatwick and to Hove with the guys, so it's been fantastic. And obviously we've had the one game now against Lancashire, but the lead up to that's been brilliant, yeah.
And you're sort of part of one of the sort of new players coming in, so it must be sort of exciting times to be part of that sort of culture at Sussex at the moment.
No, it's been a brilliant time. I mean, all the guys have been fantastic. There are a lot of, professional cricketers at Sussex, and they've taken me in well. And it's been great for me as a cricketer to be in a setup like this. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned the defeat to Lancashire there. Over the years, Sussex and Lancashire have played out some epic games. Perhaps last week's game not one of them, but the guys must be looking forward to getting back onto the pitch and bouncing back when you take on Durham in a couple of weeks or so.
Yes. Obviously, what happened against Lancashire isn't ideal, but it does happen to sides, and it happens to good sides. And I believe, there is only one. The only way now is forward. I think that from a game like that, you can only better, and I think the boys will learn from an experience like that. Obviously, it's not ideal up front, but yeah, a side like Sussex, we're definitely looking to have the bounce back ability and go in strong against Durham. Yeah.
Now, looking ahead to this season as a whole, what would you sort of say your personal goal is this year?
Me personally, as a youngster, obviously, I'm always looking to learn the art of my game and improve. A goal for me, a general goal, is to work my way into the first side and hopefully become a permanent member of the Sussex First 11.
And what about as a club? You're back in the first division of the Championship now. You've been there or thereabouts in Pro 40 stuff in the 2020. What about the club's sort of aims this year?
Well, so obviously we believe that we want to stay in the Division 1 with the Championship cricket, because whenever you're in the Division 1, you have a chance at the Championship title. So that is the goal, obviously, is to stay in the Championship and fight for the title, obviously. And then definitely, the one day in the 2020s, we definitely back ourselves, and we're hoping to win some trophies, yeah.
Okay, let's just look back on some of the cricket over the winter. What did you make of South Africa's World Cup campaign?
Yeah, I believe it was a bit up and down. Obviously, the guys had a very strong side and a side that knitted well together and all of that. And I think, yeah, it was unfortunate to go out the way that we did. But no, I think South African cricket, it's very strong, and I believe they will always be contenders for the number one side in the world for ODI and for Test cricket. So I think the guys need to, obviously they have, a lot of people have put the chokers label on them, but I believe the guys need to just go out and play their natural selves and play their natural games and don't worry about anything else other than what they're doing on the field.
It's a good way to play your cricket as well. I'm just sort of moving on to the IPL. Have you been sort of following that at all?
The Champions League.
The Indian Premier League, sorry.
The IPL. Yeah, no, definitely I follow that. Obviously, Ray Jennings was my under-19 coach, and he's also head coach of I think it's the Royal Challengers.
Yes.
So I've definitely been following the IPL. It's very interesting. Obviously, with the IPL introducing over the past few years all international cricketers in their teams, and no, definitely following that, yeah. And
it must be sort of pleasing for you to see the likes of A.B. de Villiers, Johan Botha, and Jacques Kallis in particular scoring runs and looking really good.
Yeah, no, the talent that those guys have is unbelievable, and when they put it together, it's great to watch. It's unbelievable, yeah.
Okay, just a couple of questions to finish off, Gert. What would you sort of say, if I had to say to you, right, what was your best innings or perhaps bowling performance in the game? What would you sort of pinpoint?
In terms of bowling-wise, I'd probably say I played an amateur one-day game in Joburg against the Strikers, which is the Lions. I took 6 for 27, opening the bowling for the first time for the amateurs. So I would say that's pretty much one of my highlights in my career performances. In terms of batting, I think I've obviously had 100 that I scored in the 2020 competition up in Johannesburg, which is obviously a fantastic knock for me. But in terms of highlights, it might be the other day I scored 39 not outs against KZN Inland to win the 3-day competition for Western Province. For me, that so far has been one of the greatest innings I think I've done. And
what about your most memorable game you've played in, if you haven't mentioned it already?
There's been quite a few. For me, definitely the Under-19 World Cup was fantastic. All the games was brilliant. Obviously the first game that we played, the first knockout game, we didn't have a great day against Sri Lanka. But for me, in all, it was representing South Africa Under-19 at the World Cup in New Zealand.
Brilliant. Well, Kirk, thanks very much for your time this morning, and we wish you the very best of luck with Sussex and beyond, perhaps in the future.
Thank you very much, John. Okay.
Thank you. Great to hear from him. Didn't know an awful lot about him before I spoke to him. Know a little bit more about him. Al, I know you've been down to Lords this week as well. Yeah,
this week's been the ICC Europe governance meeting, and we had 32 countries represented. It was obviously a great occasion, but marred slightly by the news that the ICC full members had closed the World Cup, which probably shouldn't be called a World Cup anymore, to any of the affiliate and associate members. And you managed to catch up with Richard Cox, who's chairman of the Netherlands Cricket Association. I certainly did. Obviously the Netherlands were there, Ireland were there, Scotland were there, and it was with some trepidation that I actually took on the interview, because obviously the Netherlands really want to be represented in ODI 50 over cricket. So let's hear what Richard has to say.
Richard, obviously a bit upset with the news that it's going to be a sort of closed World Cup in the next couple.
Yeah, desperately disappointed, Alistair. I think all of the countries knew that the next World Cup would be defined by a 10-team process. What we hadn't legislated for was the fact that there would be no access to that 10-team World Cup, and of course now there is only potentially, I may say, an opportunity in the offing at 2019, which is a long time away.
It's a long way away, especially for the development of any country, 8 years.
Yes, it is. It impacts, I think, in three major areas for most countries. That is the opportunity to engage with government stakeholders, NOC, NSS, NSFs, sponsors particularly, who are looking for optimisation of their brand value around World Cups. But more importantly, I think, than anything, is the growth of the game and the opportunity for youngsters to go and replicate what they've seen from their local heroes over the last 2 months in the World Cup. So that's a real blow.
So obviously a blow in the 50-over game, but we've got the T20, the World Cup. Is there going to be a bigger focus on that now?
I think we will, and we've already started talking internally about our domestic season. Firstly, we're fortunate, I think, in some ways that we'd already chosen to expand our domestic 2020 programme in the Netherlands. Last year it was a cup, round-robin knockout, and this year it's a league. So that will give us more opportunity to see players in the 2020 game, and particularly the national coach, Peter Drinnen. And secondly, we've started to look at our A-team and our under-19 teams and see whether we can start to shape one or two for them also to be ready for the opportunities that arise in 2012 and 13 should we qualify.
Looking back over the last T20 tournament and also the last 50-over World Cup, the lesser nations, should we put it that way, actually performed extremely well, beating some of the major nations.
Yeah, I think one of the most momentous evenings was the opening night here. You know, I was not in the post at the time, but I was here and watched history unfold, and it was almost like it was meant to be. And I do think there's more scope for some of the countries to gain significant victories against the full member nations because of the shorter format. It is a very good opportunity to sell the game internationally and in your own country. However, the bottom line with all of this is that we still need a domestic programme and an international programme that offers one-day internationals and multi-day cricket. That is ICC's mantra, that the game should be played in three formats, that it should be a meritocratic game where everybody gets an opportunity. And we're happy with the 2020, but we think it should be in addition to, not instead of.
I think given some of the very strong statements that came out from Cricket Ireland and Cricket Afghanistan, I think Richard was actually quite diplomatic there, shall I say.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the decision that's been made. They can't alter that. So they've got to look ahead to how they can actually play their cricket and international cricket and prepare for those tournaments, particularly the World 2020, where they are still obviously in with a shout of representing their countries in those tournaments. But obviously the 50 over one day cup is now, well, it's not a World Cup anymore. So they'll have to change it to something else.
Invitational trophy or something like that.
I think so. I mean, it's a great shame and not very far-sighted. However, having said that, we've got the England players who aren't playing any 50-over cricket except international one-day cricket. So I'm not sure how they're going to be preparing going forward. And should by 2018 they could well be knocked out of the actual qualifying tournament.
That's a long way ahead, isn't it? We'll have to wait and see. Slightly shorter term, club cricket, of course, getting underway in England as well. You playing this year, Al?
I shall be playing a bit. I've got exciting news just to let the world know. Expecting a baby in the family in the next month or so. So my playing will be slightly curtailed.
Well, entirely understandable.
With other duties.
Many congratulations. But you have been catching up with some players who have been a little more active.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really good to hear from Valley End Cricket Club, the chairman of that, James Young, who had some exciting news about two youngsters who had played in the village final in 2007 and have gone on to score their first class hundreds in the first week of the county season, and it was great to hear from him.
It's an amazing story. Let's hear from him now.
Yeah, fantastic.
So not only Ed, but a week later, Luke Durant as well.
I know, but I mean, how do you do that?
Well, they've been mad king cricketers from the age of 2. Ed's ambition has always been to play county cricket, and last 3 years he's been at the Oxford MCC Academy. Last year his batting kicked on big time. He got a contract with Gloucestershire, and this year, his last year at uni, he's captain and all-rounder. And against Lancashire last week, he went in and scored 130. So.
Well, I mean, obviously, as chairman of Valley Cricket Club, you must be proud, but you must be a proud dad as well.
Chuffed a bit. Unfortunately, I wasn't there on the day. Probably a very good thing, because we would have been nervous wrecks.
Okay, now I used to drive past Valley End Cricket Club many, many years ago when I was a young lad, and it's obviously moved on quite considerably since then, and very exciting news about all your developments there.
Ricky Stewart came down last on the NatWest Cricket Force Saturday morning, officially opened our new cage, which is designed for disabled cricket and obviously for all the youth cricketers to use on our new ground. We already have 2 new pitches in place where we're playing youth cricket this year in a bit of 4th and 5th 11. Hopefully next year the 1st and 2nds will be playing on the new ground.
Yeah, we were over at Long Eaton in Derbyshire over the weekend for the NatWest Cricket Force, and I understand from Andrew that that's gone from strength to strength.
Absolutely. I mean, we as a club always focus on the Saturday of the NatWest Cricket Force, and I think we had well over 100 people turned up on the Saturday morning. We had some, special game coaching going on in the cage, and lots of parents, senior players got stuck into getting the ground ready for the new season, which starts on Saturday.
Absolutely brilliant. I'm going to come down and have a look at the club later on in the season.
Fantastic, brilliant story, and you'll be looking forward to going and sort of doing a follow-up story later on in the year.
I promised to buy them a couple of beers because I mean it's a great story. It just shows that the youth structure in England works, and everybody comes. All cricketers in England come from a cricket club, and it's really good to see that. And the volunteers involved in the NatWest Cricket Force, who actually make it happen for the youngsters to be able to move on and play first-class cricket.
Yes, Cricket Force, brilliant initiative, and we've got an interview with Michael Vaughan up on the website, sort of lauding the progress of that's made, so do check that out. Al, thanks so much for your time today. It's been absolutely brilliant to catch up with you. We're going to move on now. Time to finish with the ICC Cricket Radio Show. This week, interviews with Zaheer Khan, Shanthakumaran, Sreesanth, and former Australian captain Ian Chappell.
Hello and welcome to ICC Cricket World with me, Jatin Sapru. Exciting stuff lined up for you in the next 15 minutes. First, let's check out what's on the show today. We chat with India's leading pacer Zaheer Khan, where he talks about exercising ghosts of the previous editions of the World Cup and winning back the Holy Grail and lots more. Also talking to us will be another member of India's World Cup winning squad, Skipper Dhoni's apparent lucky charm, the mercurial Shanthakumaran Sreesanth. Also on the show today is an exclusive chat with Ian Chappell, who navigates us to Australia's road ahead after finally losing their World Champions title. But first up, it's Gautam Bhimani bringing us the latest happenings in the world of cricket. Here's presenting our news segment.
Pakistan Prime Minister Yusuf Raza Gilani has said that the ICC Cricket World Cup 2011 semi-final clash between India and Pakistan has acted as a catalyst for improving ties between the two nations. Indian Prime Minister Manmohan Singh had invited his Pakistani counterpart to witness the highly anticipated match in Mohali, which India won by 29 runs. In a reception recently held by Gilani to honour the Pakistan cricket team, he said that it was not a question of winning or losing as much as it was to win the hearts of the people across the border. Praising the Pakistan cricket team's performance in the World Cup, Gilani announced a sum of ₹1 million for each player of the team and 5 lakhs for each of the management staff. Meanwhile, as per an order issued by Sri Lanka's Sports Minister Mahinadananda Althugamage, all Lankan players participating in the IPL have been called back home to train for their upcoming tour of England. Althugamage wants Kumar Sangakkara, Mahela Jayawardene, Lashit Malinga and others to put country over the lucrative IPL. He also added that in future, Sri Lankan players can only participate in foreign tournaments if it does not hamper their commitments to the national team. The tour, which starts on the 14th of May with a game against Middlesex, comprises of 3 test matches, 5 ODIs and a one-off 2020 international. The Islanders are also scheduled to play a one-off ODI each against Ireland and Scotland just a day after their final ODI against England on the 9th of July. And finally, just days after Bangladesh failed to make it to the quarterfinals of the ICC Cricket World Cup, the Bangladesh Cricket Board has decided to part ways with national coach Jamie Siddons. In an official statement, the BCB stated that Siddons' contract, which expires on the 30th of June, will not be renewed. The board also said that the team had done really well in the past 4 years under Siddons, but it was time to bring in some new support staff.
So after a successful stint by Jamie Siddons, it's time for the Bangladesh Cricket Board to find a new ringmaster. But there is someone who's mastered the trade of fast bowling and making batsmen dance to his tunes, Zaheer Khan, who played a crucial role in India's World Cup winning campaign. Here is he in a conversation with Sai Prasad Mohapatra, talking of exercising the ghost of the previous editions of the World Cup.
Zach, what would you call it? A poetic justice that the shadow of 2003 World Cup is not going to chase you any longer?
Well, I'm glad that I had that opportunity to change things, but I by no means regret the fact that the 2003 didn't go my way in the finals. But it was a great learning experience. I was much more well prepared for the finals in 2011. I felt very proud when a lot of my teammates and the support staff came up to me and say that Zach, the first 3 men you bowled, that really tightened the screw as far as Sri Lanka's defeat is concerned, and that's for me is really satisfying as a leading bowler.
What would be that interaction or an instance that has top of the mind recall value that you will never forget that moment with Gary?
Well, I won't hesitate to say this, that Gary is the only coach who has understood me well. He has given me freedom to express myself. He's understood the kind of space I like to get into, and I like to do certain things differently, and he's kind of given me freedom to achieve that.
It's also a culmination of a lot of hard work when you get to the point where you wanted to. There are a lot of people who have attributed their success to a lot of people in their life. Is there anyone special in your life that you would like to attribute?
Well, my parents, I think they've sacrificed enough in their lives. It's been amazing. How they've kind of supported me in all the decisions I've made, and that includes all the unorthodox ways also I have to go about my life.
Can you say for sure that you were in absolute control of things, that Zaheer Khan is maturing, is basically blossoming to the fullest?
Well, I think I gained momentum at the right time. Like before the World Cup, if you look at 6 months prior to the World Cup, I was a bit concerned. My body was not responding the way it should be responding. I was not able to gain that momentum leading up to the World Cup. But in time, things fell into place. South Africa, I really needed to play a full series, which I played in South Africa. Just missed 1 test match. That's what was required for me. And once I played that, I knew that I got what I wanted. I just need to build on this.
If I were to ask you, of all the 21 wickets that you took, which one would you put right on the top in the context of that particular match?
One was definitely Strauss. It was a game-changing moment there, and I bowled a perfect Yorker there. I was very thrilled with that. The second, I would say Mike Hussey, because on that particular day, Ricky Ponting was playing really well. It was really important from the bowling unit to break that partnership. When Hussey came on to bat. Almost all the eligible bachelor in the team, it was a cut-off date World Cup. For them to, after that post-which perhaps they were thinking to settle down. That also includes you. So which way it is headed? As I said, I'm basking in the glory of the World Cup right now. We are the champions. Just enjoying that. Haven't really thought about a lot of things. And as far as the cut-off date or anything that sort concerned, I've never really given it a thought. I'm enjoying my cricket. There are too many responsibilities on me, and let's see how things pan out.
And if you're wondering what could be the reason behind the new swanky haircut and the golden streak, rumour mills are rife that perhaps the wedding bells could soon be ringing for Zach. And who could perhaps be dancing on his wedding? Someone who's mastered the art of breakdance could perhaps well be in that ceremony, but for the moment he's happy breaking backs of the opposition with the ball. Sreesanth here in a conversation with Swaroop Kar.
Yeah, Sri, what was your first reaction after Dhoni hit that winning six?
We actually, the moment he hit the middle of the bat, we knew it's a six, and nothing like winning a World Cup through six, and Dhoni Bhai is known for hitting sixes, and we were all excited, and we just ran to the field. I was not even wearing my shoes. I remember going to the podium to get the gold medal without my Chappell or shoes.
And Sachin broke into tears. How was it to see him in tears?
We were all in tears.
Yes, obviously.
To see Sachin Paji, it was a happy tears and emotional, and it was a big thing for us. We wanted that cup for the last 3 years, and in fact from 2007 we were saying we should win it. And every meeting we had, it was more like when we play the finals in Wankhede Stadium. So everybody knew what we were supposed to do, and we were very emotional, yes, but seeing that happiness in Sachin Paji and knowing him very personally and as a team member, and I mean that is the only thing which he has never had in his belt. But now nobody in the world can say he's not the best cricketer. In fact, the way I call him is Master of the Universe, Jedi. So I think Jedi has no comparison. So and he decides what to do. So cricket is equal to Sachin, I think. Or Sachin is equal to cricket.
So a long gap of 28 years has come to an end, and India finally once again are the world champions. The title, which for the last 3 editions of the World Cup had been attached with the mighty Australians. But now when it's apparent that the Australian domination has come to an end, let's speak to someone who knows a thing or two about the country, former captain Ian Chappell, talking to us about the road ahead. Chappell, thank you so much for joining us here on ICC Cricket World. It appears to be that Ricky Ponting finally heard what you had to say about him giving up captaincy and Michael Clarke taking over the rebuilding phase. Do you reckon the first few steps taken in Australia's resurrection have been in the correct direction?
Well, when you've got basically a new team, or you're heading in that direction, there's no point in having an old captain. You've got to have a new captain to go with it. And I think Michael Clarke was the right bloke to take over. He's made a good start, but it's not how you start as a captain. It's how you progress. And I think Michael Clarke has an opportunity to be a good captain.
Chappell, would you say that the kind of role now Ricky Ponting should play is the one that Mahela Jayawardene played with Kumar Sangakkara with the Sri Lanka team, with all the captaincy experience that he's got? He should try and pass on the tricks of the trade to Michael Clarke and make sure that before he retires, Clarke knows just all the tricks about the trade.
No, I don't think that at all. I think in fact exactly the opposite. It's Michael Clarke's job now, and he should do it his own way. There's not much point in having Ricky Ponting resign as a captain and then be advising Michael Clarke. I mean, if Michael Clarke wants to know something from Ricky Ponting, he asks him. But pointless having the captain resign, and then you just get more of his style of captaincy if he's dictating the terms.
Chappell, it's been a while in Australia after a captain giving up captaincy, playing under another captain. What kind of a character does it talk about of Ricky Ponting?
Well, I mean, he's made the decision, so obviously he's happy with it. Now, he's obviously going to have to test the water. He may find that just being a player, after having all the responsibility of being captain, he might find that a bit dull and boring, and it could be that his interest in going on as a player wanes pretty quickly. But he may go the other way. He may enjoy doing it, just being a player and being a lot more relaxed without the responsibility. But he'll know pretty quickly which way it's going. He won't be able to tell after playing against Bangladesh because it wasn't a very testing series. But you've got Sri Lanka in Sri Lanka, and then you've got South Africa coming up, and those two series will be really strong tests. And I think by the end of perhaps the South African series, Ricky Ponting will know if he's, if there's still enough incentive there for him to go on as a player. But he'll know pretty quickly.
Thank you, Chappell, for joining us here on ICC Cricket World. Moving ahead, it's time to find out what's been happening on the rankings charts. Here's Kirk Wernars with all the latest from the Reliance ICC Test Rankings.
In the Reliance ICC Test Championship rankings for batsmen, two legends of the modern game, Sachin Tendulkar and Jacques Kallis, share the top honours with 883 rating points each. Sri Lanka's Kumar Sangakkara is just 1 point behind the Giants and could well be placed on top of the charts when Sri Lanka tour England early next month. With 826 ratings points, England's Jonathan Trott is on 4th spot, followed by teammate Alistair Cook on 5th. The Nawab of Najafgarh Virendra Sehwag is at number 6 with 719 rating points, while Mahela Jayawardene, Shivnarayan Chandrapal, VVS Lakshman and Thilan Samarveera hold the 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th spots respectively. Bangladesh's Tamim Iqbal is at 19th place, is the lone player for his country to feature in the top 20 rankings. Meanwhile, South African speedster Dale Steyn rules the roost in the Reliance ICC Test Championship rankings for bowlers. England spinner Graham Swan and pacer James Anderson are at 2nd and 3rd spots respectively. Morne Morkel is placed 4th in the rankings, while India's Zaheer Khan sits pretty at 5th place. Australia's left-arm fast bowler Mitchell Johnson occupies the 6th spot. India's go-to spinner Harbhajan Singh is stable on 7th place, while Bangladesh's Shakib Al Hasan is close behind at 8th. Former New Zealand skipper Daniel Vittori and England's Stuart Broad own the 9th and 10th spot respectively. In the Reliance Test Championship, India is sitting at the peak with 128 ratings points, while South Africa are 2nd with 117 points. England are just 2 points adrift of the Proteas and are placed 3rd. Meanwhile, 6 points separate England from Sri Lanka, who are currently at 4th place. One-time world dominators Australia are languishing at number 5, while Pakistan are placed 6th on the table. West Indies and New Zealand are on 7th and 8th respectively.
Well, with that, we've come to the end of what's been an exciting 15 minutes of ICC Cricket World. Just a quick update, the next show will bring you more from the Pepsi World Cricket League Division 2, where at the moment, it's the United Arab Emirates who've almost cemented their berth in the final. You can catch all the updates of the tournament on icc-cricket.com. With that, it's time for me, Jatin Sapru, to bid you goodbye with a promise. We'll see you again next week with 15 more exciting minutes of cricket on ICC Cricket World. Until then, it's goodbye.